Tonight on Apollo Reads, Otter continued. Human noise. It's Gracie who notices first. She spent years hearing human noise, deciphering what she can. When sounds are repeated, it's a sign that something matters, to the humans anyway. Many noises end with a food reward, and that's reason enough to listen with care. Gracie means her. Good girl means a treat. Come means swim to the edge of the tank. Wait means prepare to be annoyed. It's only because she's had so much practice that Gracie takes note of the sound humans have begun using whenever Otter's near. Jazz. Good girl, Jazz, they say. Come, Jazz. Wait, Jazz. The humans, she fears, have given her young friend a name. Never. For 2 days Gracie waits. She doesn't have the heart to tell Otter that she, like the rest of them, will never be leaving. Jazz. She's not surprised, not really. For Otter it feels like that day of the shark attack when she lay waiting to die. It's a relief giving up and accepting the inevitable. Hope can be exhausting. Spared. As the days blur together, a calm acceptance sets in. Truth is, it feels only fair, sharing the fate of her friends. Why should Otter be any different? And honestly, this life at high water isn't so bad, is it? She's safe and cared for, loved, it seems, by the human caretakers. Most importantly, she'll be forever spared the dark, determined threats of ocean life. No sign. Sometimes Otter thinks she catches Carrie's scent in the air, but there's been no sign of her old friend since the pup's death. Every now and then other intriguing smells waft past, and Otter will look to the elderly otters to see if they, too, have noticed anything. But their noses don't work as well as they used to, and Otter tells herself that she's probably just imagining things. She's good at that, it appears. Absurd. This afternoon, 2 of the humans come calling for her. Jazz, come, Jazz! They tap on the edge of the tank, and she ignores them to make it clear she's not interested. But when a shred of crab meat appears, Otter meanders over to accept the treat between her paws. She glances at the humans, and is surprised to see that one has covered herself in a confounding way. Humans are always wearing things to hide their lack of fur. Of course, but this new effort is startling. From the neck down, the human is sheathed in something thick and loose and dark that hides her appendages, while her head is completely covered by a black box-like object. Even by human standards, which is saying something, she looks a bit foolish. Not for the first time. Otter is grateful for her luxurious fur. Human bodies seem to offer plenty of opportunities for humiliation. Up to something. Another piece of crab. Another instruction. Cage, Jazz, cage. Clearly, they want her to climb up a ramp and enter the small cage that awaits. But the cage means a visit to the exam room, where humans like to prod and measure her. And she is fine. Thank you very much. More crab is offered, and when Otter still won't leave the tank, they resort to trapping her in a net. It's an unusual move, and a bit embarrassing, but then she's being unusually stubborn. Otter hisses and screeches to show her displeasure. They are up to something, that much is clear. A few minutes later, they approach the rooftop where her old pup pool is located, and even before the door creaks open, Otter knows with absolute certainty, as surely as she knows how to play, Carrie is here. Back to the pup pool. Otter squeals and chirps and wiggles. The box-head human carries her cage toward a pool, while the other human stays behind, As soon as the cage door opens, Otter leaps into the water with an impressive splash. Carrie is in the small pool nearby, close enough for Otter to catch a glimpse of her friend. Carrie looks well. Her fur gleams, and she's gained some weight. She is floating on her back, hugging a little toy to her chest, moving in her slow, deliberate Carrie way. Carrie! Otter darts back and forth. I've missed you, she cries, but her old friend is silent. Carrie! Otter repeats even louder. Hello, Otter! Carrie whispers at last. I've missed you too, my friend. Bribes. Before she leaves, the box-head human praises Otter with reassuring noises. She even gives Otter floaty toys and ice cubes filled with tempting shreds of crab. But Otter isn't so easily bought off. Why has she been brought to her old pup pool? Maybe she's here to keep Carrie company. But if that's the case, why aren't they sharing the same pool? Normally, Otter would be furious, but something else has caught her attention. Something fascinating. Ball of fluff. When Otter rushes to the edge of the pool and lifts her head just so, she can see them both clearly. Carrie isn't holding a toy. She's holding an unbearably tiny pup. A ball of fluff so small that Otter wonders if it's really an otter at all. I thought, Otter begins, I thought your pup... Maybe. She did, Carrie answers simply. She died. I'm so sorry, Otter whispers. It happens sometimes, they say. But then, Carrie nudges the little one cuddled on her chest. Then they brought me this pup. I don't know how or why. Otter? Maybe he was... Carrie trails off. Maybe he was all alone, says Otter, the way I was. Small. The pup makes a soft squeak, and Carrie nuzzles him. How do you know what to do? Otter asks. I just do, says Carrie, and she looks as mystified as Otter. Otter stares for a while, barely moving. The pup looks utterly safe in Carrie's paws, sheltered from all the world's unkindness. Could we ever have been this small? Carrie asks. No, says Otter, trying to shake off the sudden sadness, dragging her down like a whirlpool. Never. Echoes. Otter makes a hard dive, remembering too late how shallow the pool is. She bumps her head, then circles the pool uneasily. Had she ever been held that way by her own mother, with such tenderness? Had she ever had the chance to be so protected and loved? All Otter can recall from those days is a question that still echoes in her dreams. Where is she? Where is she? Where is she? Sorry. The night, the full moon swims past the stars, glowing like a sea jelly, while Otter watches its journey. From time to time, the pup squeaks or whimpers or whines, and Carrie soothes him with coos and pats. The old otters told me you were sick, Otter says, after a long silence. The shaking sickness, yes, says Carrie, like Amaya and the others. I'm sorry, says Otter, patting listlessly. The humans made me better, Carrie says. It's not so bad these days. Otter twirls a toy between her paws. Carrie, she whispers, yes. I'm sorry about what happened, about how I put you in danger. Otter pauses, waiting for her friend's harsh reply. She hears Carrie whispering to the pup. Carrie? Otter asks. It was nothing, Carrie says. Nothing at all, you silly minnow. Boxheads. The humans continue to visit at precise intervals day and night, always dressed in their inexplicable gear. They pause to say hello to Otter, giving her treats and attention, but they seem obsessed with Carrie and the pup. When they remove him from her grasp, however, briefly, his screams of outrage and Carrie's anxious groans send Otter underwater to drown out the sounds. Bye, Jazz. When the humans leave, they make the noises Gracie has taught Otter to recognize. Bye, Jazz. Bye, Twyla. The door clicks shut. Those sounds are names, Otter says. Our new names. I know, Carrie answers. The old otters told me what that means. The pup makes a sweet whistling sound. What about him? Otter asks. What do you call him? Just Pup, Carrie answers, slowly crossing the pool. I think I'm afraid to name him. It feels like bad luck. Do you think? Otter hesitates. Do you think they'll name him the way they've named us? I hope not, Carrie says. I want him to be free. Why? Otter peers over the pool's edge. Carrie and the pup might as well be a single animal. It's hard to tell where one begins and the other ends. Why do you want him to be free? Otter presses. Do you really want him to face what we faced? You were so sick, and the shark nearly got us both. Carrie is silent. Remember the story of the 50? Otter asks. Why do you think there were only 50 of us left in our waters? The humans were killing us for our fur, Carrie. But things are different now, Carrie says. It's Otter's turn to fall silent. He's safe here, at least. At least she finally says. That doesn't sound like you, Otter, Carrie says. Otter considers for a moment. Maybe, she says. That's because I'm not really Otter anymore. I'm Jazz. The answer. Another day passes, and the boxhead humans keep coming, gathering to coo about the pup. They seem pleased with Carrie, their voices high-pitched and animated like shore birds at dawn. They still give Otter plenty of toys and treats, but she feels like an afterthought. Why do they insist on keeping her here when the big otter tank awaits? What is the point? Early the next morning, the two boxheads arrive, but instead of going straight to Carrie, they approach Otter, and at last, whether she wants it or not, she has the answer to her question. Day 1 with the pup. One of the boxheads clutches a towel in her arms, covering something squirming and squealing, and of course Otter knows what it is. She can smell it. She can see its flippers and hint of its whiskers, and still, when they open the towel and ever so gently place the pup in the pool, for a moment Otter stops breathing. The new addition. This pup is bigger than the one Carrie is caring for, and louder. Her shrill complaints hurt Otter's ears. She's clumsy and sputtering, as if she's new to the water, and scrawny as well. Her eyes, too large for the rest of her, gleam like sea stones as they lock on Otter. The humans are watching Otter at least, and it seems like they are. It's hard to tell with their boxheads, but there's an air of expectation in the room, as if they're waiting for her to perform a task so they can deliver a treat. The pup, with great effort, splashes over to a tangle of kelp fronds and does her best to hide. For her part, Otter dives to the far side of the tank. So this is why they brought Otter here, to be another Carrie. Well, she'll never be like her friend. She's not calm and kind and patient and careful. She nearly got them both killed, after all. She may not be Otter anymore, but she's definitely not Carrie either. All day long. All day long the humans hover. All day long the pup squeals. All day long Otter ignores her. Reprieve. In the evening, one of the boxheads catches the pup in a net, and Otter is finally free to roam the tank in peace. I wonder where they're taking her, says Carrie. It's the first thing she said all day. I don't know, Otter replies. I'm just glad to have my pool back. Otter dips and dives and twirls for a while. What was she like? Carrie asks when Otter pauses to loll in the kelp. She was noisy, Otter says, and clumsy, and she smelled funny, like all pups, then, Carrie says. After retrieving some food, she hadn't realized how hungry she was. Otter asks, what was I supposed to do with her? Carrie's pup makes a noise, half purr, half peep. Well, what did the humans do with you, Carrie asks, when you were brought here as a pup? I don't know, Otter says. It's hard to remember. I suppose she slips underwater to grab a clam and surfaces. You suppose what? Carrie presses. I suppose you could say, Otter replies, that they taught me how to be an otter. Exactly, says Carrie. Day 2 with the pup. The pup returns. She hides in the strands of kelp. All day long the humans hover. Now and then the pup squeals. All day long Otter ignores her. Day 3 with the pup. The pup returns. She hides in the kelp. All day long the humans hover. The pup barely makes a sound. All day long Otter ignores her. Day 4 with the pup. The pup returns. She hides in the kelp. All day long the humans hover. The pup is silent. At the end of the day, Otter swims over to see if the pup is still alive. She is. Meeting. The next morning, before they return, the pup, she's number 209, to Jazz's tank. The Aquarius hold a meeting. Is there something else they can do to get Jazz to accept the pup, so in need of help? Maybe not. Maybe they're asking too much of her. They tried this once before, after all, and it hadn't worked. Twyla is their first success story, and it's still quite early. Maybe because she's given birth. Bonding came more easily for her. Is there any reason to expect feisty, unpredictable Jazz to react the same way? It almost seems unfair. She's already gone through so much. Darth Vader. Still, though, it's an incredible long shot. What if this works? What if, instead of humans teaching abandoned pups how to be otters, they can recruit actual otters? Otters who could no longer survive in the wild. Otters like Twyla and Jazz. The Aquarius don their strange costumes, the ones they call their Darth Vader look. It's harder to move, covered in thick black poncho gloves and a welder's helmet, but it's also harder for the pups to recognize humans and make eye contact and bond. It's simple and yet so complicated. If 217 and 209 are going to survive in the wild, they need to understand that they are otters, not agile, charming, furry humans. Another dream. Otter awakens from another dream about a pup. The pup is drowning, and Otter lets her drown. Oh my gosh. Why would she do that, Apollo?
Because she hates taking care of pups.
Oh, maybe. Let's find out. Talking. Otter cries out, and Carrie calls, Otter, are you all right? Bad dream, says Otter, shaking her head. That's all. They'll be bringing the pup soon, Carrie says, as if Otter needs reminding. I'm hoping they've given up, says Otter. Carrie doesn't say anything for a long while. What about the pup? She finally asks. What about her? Otter says. She takes a deep breath. I'm not like you, Carrie. I get in trouble. I don't listen. I nearly got you killed. I don't know how to take care of a pup. I barely know how to take care of myself. You know how to play, says Carrie. Day 5 with the pup. The pup returns. She hides in the kelp. All day long the humans hover. The pup is silent. At the end of the day, Otter swims over. She gives the pup a nose tap, a barely there touch. The pup whimpers. She is still alive. Pathetic. Otter reaches out a paw. The pup's eyes go wide. She squeals and tries to paddle away, but her flippers tangle in pieces of kelp. She twists and turns, but she can free herself clearly. But she can't free herself. Clearly, she has no idea how to dive. Otter pulls away, stunned. She was never this helpless, was she? This weak and this needy? She glances at the boxheads, watching her and the pup, and remembers the first time the humans tried to teach her to dive. True, they'd understood the mechanics, the how, but there was no way they could know the why, the shocking, miraculous joy of it all. The pup twists harder for a moment. Her head is under water. She emerges, horrified at how wet her face is, frantically rubbing her nose with her tiny paws, squeaking with fear and frustration. The boxheads move toward the tank with their net, ready to rescue the poor pup. Purpose. Otter can't stand it any longer. No otter should be this terrified of the water. Water means play, and play is their purpose. Calming. Otter dives underneath the pup and pushes her past the knot of kelp. The pup writhes and squeals, but Otter performs a roll, slipping beneath the pup, then rises, floating on her back, clutching the soft mound of fur close, until the little pup finally relaxes. Back and forth across the pool, Otter moves, gliding, cradling, calming. Whispers. The humans are making happy noises, and so is Carrie. But Otter isn't paying attention, because she is whispering to the pup, clinging to her as if Otter means the difference between life and death. Little one, she says, if I am going to be your otter teacher, let's get one thing straight. I will teach you how to dive for mussels, how to open clams, how to anchor yourself, and with kelp, when you sleep. And yes, like my mother, I will teach you to fear sharks and avoid humans, because, dear one, I must. The pup taps Otter's nose with her paw and makes a purring sound. Otter thinks of her mother, of her warnings about the world, her fretting and worrying, and for the first time she understands. Most of all, says Otter, I am going to teach you how to play, silly minnow. Again the pup purrs. I've got some moves, Otter says. You're not going to believe. And suddenly she cannot wait for tomorrow. There is so much this little pup needs to know. And the conclusion of Otter. Coda, 6 months later. How to say goodbye to an otter. Otter version. Be proud. After long months, know you've done your best, that teaching and loving are different words for the same thing. Be hopeful. Imagine them as the cages open, as they leap into the wider, wild water. To use what you have shared, to take chances and make mistakes, to be lonely sometimes and lost, but always to know that the world is not meant to be feared, and the water, beautiful water, will always mean play. And that is the end, little minnow, Apollo. What do you say to the internet world about Otter?
Adios!
Adios, hasta luego!